The following podcast is a next level production.
Aisha, what happened to you?
Bangle worked. Sana, it brought you back to me.
I'm not Sana.
We don't have much time. Get Sana on the train and protect that Bangle. You have everything that you need.
Hey, panelists, welcome back to the show. I'm Art.
And I'm Steve.
And this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast about Ms.Marvel Season 1, Episode 5, entitled Time and Again. So, this episode, the synopsis is, the Bangle reveals to Kamala secrets about her family lineage, as well as the truth behind the veil. Which it does. It's a lot of it, and I'm like moving right into our initial thoughts. With my initial thoughts, I loved it for the fact that you got a sense of family within this particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
That Kamala actually gets to know more about her great-grandmother Aisha and her grandfather, and see what happens. And we get a bit of history about India, Pakistan, and how it became where it got split, where India was like one whole country. Something that I was a bit aware of because I have a lot of Indian and Pakistani friends. And I love how they surmised it up within this particular episode of how to explain it to the public, because a lot of people are not really understanding of how it is. And I just like that they took the time out to explain how it's split and why there's two countries now. And then we get Kamala understanding all this heritage through pretty much her grandmother and then through the Bangle itself, and how at one point, spoilers, everybody, yeah, she's involved with her grandmother finding her grandfather when she was a child at that railroad station.
Great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother.
Yeah, you're right, grandmother. I'm sorry, you're right, grandmother. Aisha is the great-grandmother. Sorry.
Yeah, Aisha, yeah. And the fact that she did actually engage with her great-grandmother, too.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing, because it was like a really lovely scene. And we'll go into that within, when we cover the podcast, cover the episode on the podcast. But, you know, to me, honestly, this was very good and very endearing. And it was very family-oriented, as well as historic for Kamala herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, it was, especially on my second watch, I really appreciated it more. And I think I got choked up more in the second viewing at points in the story, just because it was so emotional. And, you know, it's the shortest one of the season so far. Obviously we don't know how long 6 is going to be, but it was shorter than all the others, like by about 7 minutes, I want to say. So, but they packed a lot into it, and we got a lot of reveals. We got a lot of setup for the final episode. And so I'm excited to kind of talk about this, but I'm right there with you. I loved seeing or getting a sense, at least, because I had no idea of the history of India. I'll be totally honest.
Really?
So yeah, I didn't really. And so once I started, once I watched it for the second time, I understood what happened when the British left. They basically made India a free religion country, and Pakistan was where all the Muslims were supposed to go. And so they were basically forcing all the Muslims out of India and into Pakistan, into this smaller country. So it's dominion, not a country per se, but a dominion. The Pakistani dominion, I think, is what they call it. And it was just really heartbreaking to see that, and to realize that happened. You know, it was right around the time of World War II. So we're seeing that kind of other side of the world that I just never had been exposed to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's really sad in the sense that, you know, it's like a lot of families were torn apart because of the two different countries and two different religions, as it were. And Now, mind you, like I stated, I have friends who are Pakistani descent and friends that are Indian descent. And I respect their religions just the same as anything, as mine and yours and everybody else's. And when I was told about this, I'm like, wow. And when my friend Asim had told me about how he has family in India, but they don't talk, but he's in America. But since he's in America and he's not in Pakistan or in India, he's able to talk to both families.
Right.
And he doesn't practice Muslim. He's not a practicing Muslim. He was brought up Muslim, but he still practiced a lot of the Indian religion, which is very interesting. And I said, I'm like, oh, I went to my grandmother's. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So basically, he enjoyed the idea of the Indian religion and heritage more than his Pakistani descent or, his heritage, as it were, when he moved here. He has a very heavy accent. Very typical British in the sense that he loves cricket, so I had to spend countless times in the office watching cricket games with him, which I do enjoy. But it's pretty interesting that I'm able to get that respect. I actually have a friend named Sonica, and she and I worked at Circuit City years ago, and I got to learn a little bit more about her. But she was a bit more Americanized, and she, she uses the same terms. I actually reached out to her recently. She goes, yeah, Ami, Nani, and all those terms of endearment in beta. She actually said, she goes, yeah, that's exactly what it is. You were correct in stating that. And, to me, it's an interesting culture, but it's sad that the country had to separate because based upon religion.
Yeah.
And she says that, Sonica told me that she has family that is in Pakistan as well. And they're Muslim, but they do keep in touch as of late. So I guess religion isn't as bad as it was back then in comparison to now. So people are able to respect that now. There's no wars going on, obviously, regarding that within India at this point. But yeah, to me, it was enlightening again to see that, and then actually having to reach out to my friends to actually get that information out.
Nice.
To me.
Yeah.
So, we should move into our top 5 thoughts, or our overall thoughts of, well, not overall, but our thoughts of, like, scenes within the show.
Yeah.
So, we already spoke about the historic event for India and Pakistan, so that was one of mine. What was one of yours as well?
I love that, and what I call it is that Kamala gets her Marty McFly moment. A little different, obviously, but you called it early in the season. We had the foreshadowing of Bruno kind of dressing like Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and so we have this part of the episode that you kind of already alluded to, where she actually meets Aisha and she gets that picture, and then she becomes the one who leads. Even though she tells little Sana, her grandmother, she tells her, oh, I don't do stars, but I can do circles. But then, of course, she does do the stars. And even she says, oh, I'm the one that did it. But I love that she brought that picture back and she gives it to her grandmother, who then is able to show the picture to Kamala's mother. And they have that bonding moment that is just so amazing. And I just really, that was one of those parts that got me, kind of choked up, that whole thing with the picture and realizing that it was real, that she actually traveled in time. And then the bangle brought her back. And even Aisha kind of says, it was the power of the bangle that did this. And of course, the unfortunate side effect of that time traveling is that we have the opening of the veil. So
correct. A lot of what I liked about the episode too is the very beginning, not just because of the intro of the historic value of it, but also Aisha and meeting Kamala's great grandfather,
Hassan.
Yeah. And I thought that was amazing. That was fun to see because, she was kind of acting like a peasant. And then, he kind of treats her, and I love the rapport with her. It's like with him and her about that. basically she's ready to attack him, and he goes, "Oh, what? You gonna take out my leg? Well, take out the bad one. It's already bad anyway."
Yeah. I love that line. Oh, what, this one? Go ahead. I don't use it much anymore.
Exactly.
So I don't use it much anyway. So it was really, I love that their love story was just amazing. And that moment at the end where I'm getting choked up just thinking about it, where she says, you never asked what I was running from. And he said, well, it didn't matter because you chose us. And that's what does. That's what matters. I was just so choked up about that. That moment. And then of course the heartbreaking moment that we find out right along with her character, Najima was the one who killed Aisha. And we just get that heartbreaking moment where, I don't know if Kamala witnessed it or not, but I definitely think Kamala kind of knew. And obviously she had already heard because Najima tried to kill her. So she knew that Najima had this in her, but to know that even, 60 years ago, Najima was doing that as well. But of course, then she gets her moment, her redemption kind of moment there at the end where she closes the veil and sends a little. That's going to be an interesting conversation between Kamala and Cameron in the next episode, because she's going to have to basically tell him that his whole family's gone. Yeah. Well, and we don't know the father. I was thinking about this right before we recorded because I was trying to count. So I think there was 4 of them, right? The clandestines. There was 4 of them. There was Najima, there was the dark-skinned woman, and then the 2 guys, right? And we know the dark-skinned woman got, disintegrated when she tried to go through the veil. We think at least one of the guys was killed by the Red Dagger kid. And I think the other guy may have been killed by that other guy who was fighting with them. So basically his whole family, like what Bruno says at the end of the episode, this kid's whole family is gone.
Yes.
Unless the father is a regular human who's out there somewhere.
I think he is. And I think that's what we'll eventually see. Maybe not within the show, but later on. Because honestly, these characters are being built up within Disney Plus for us to see them into the MCU. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Cameron again. And that kid with the dagger that I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever actually got his name, if it was just Red Dagger. I think he did say it to Kamala in the last episode, but I don't remember what it was. He
was the one that brought her to the beach with his friends, and
he had a name. He had a name, and I don't remember what it was.
But he also gives her the cloth over his face, the shroud that he used. That's part of her costume.
Yeah.
So she gets another piece of her costume within this particular episode as well. Not only should you get the mask from Bruno, but she gets that from him as well.
And she got the vest from the other guy, and then we saw the necklace, the mom holding up the necklace there at the end. With all
these pieces add up to her whole costume of the superhero that she is.
Which I suspect we'll get that in the next episode. Probably at the end, probably like a Hawkeye kind of thing. We'll get it at the end, but
yes, or a Daredevil situation like with season 1 where he has the costume at the very end.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to be putting more forward into as far as when it comes to the cinematic universe.
Let's see. We already talked a little bit about Sama and Kamala bonding, but I love that moment there at the end where it's one of them. It's the grandmother says, Asana, the grandmother says, "See, our family is magical." And Kamala's mom just has to acknowledge that. And they're looking at the photo album, see the picture of Kamala's mom when she went following Bon Jovi on tour. And I thought that was great. That little mix up with the grandmother saying Bruce Springsteen and the mom correcting her.
It's Jersey.
It's still Jersey. Exactly. It was Bon Jovi. But it was just great to see that kind of restoration, because we talked about this, and I think it was, what was it? How did Kamala's mom put it, that she held Kamala too tight, and the grandmother says, "I didn't hold you tight enough," and it was just so.
It's more family oriented in the sense of understanding and parenting, child relations, and understanding one another. So it's both on Kamala's mother and her grandmother learning about, okay, we're learning more about each other. So this kind of running back to Pakistan to go see her grandmother was enlightening to everybody. So that's what's so touching about the show and the episodes that we got, especially because it was only 2 episodes. It was like last episode, this episode now.
Yeah.
And we got that. Now, obviously, I'm assuming that the finale is going to be taking place in Jersey City.
I would assume. I mean, I can't see why they would keep us in India at this point, because they finished that storyline. They've closed the veil, and of course we have that ending moment with which we haven't talked about yet with Cam. We haven't talked about Camran yet. That when his mom sacrifices herself, she says his name and he gets that superpower. Yep. That is very similar to what Ms.Marvel has, and so we'll see how that's gonna play out with him. But you get that moment where he's in Bruno's little apartment there, and he realizes that he's had Bruno's name wrong this entire and I thought I really thought it was really touching the way when he realized that he had the wrong name. He said, "No, I genuinely thought your name was Brian." Yeah. Like because we this whole time Bruno's been kind of moody and mad about the fact this kid is getting my name wrong on purpose, and it
wasn't on purpose. It was just, it's one of those things. And I think there's a mutual respect at that point.
I love that they get that moment. Yeah. I love they get that moment, that bonding, that moment where they do have, like you said, that mutual respect where they shake hands, or they kind of bump fists there. But then of course the drone appears out the window. Cameron
damage control.
Yeah. And so we now have the Department of Damage Control possibly being the big bad. And that moment with the building exploding, or at least the lower floor of the building exploding. We don't know what extent. I'm sure we'll find out. That's one of those things we'll find out in the next episode, is what's going on there. But man, that ending, I was just like, whoa. Because at first, like I know the first time I watched it, when they closed the veil, all the clandestines are dead. I was like, so where is this show gonna go? And then of course we see. I kept waiting for an extra scene at the end, but they didn't have. There wasn't one there.
No, there isn't.
Yeah.
When they dissolve, you see them there. When they do go through the veil, their body kind of disintegrates, and you see a skeleton, and it goes down to dust.
Yeah.
And then they leave, and it looks like, to me, honestly, they do go into that other dimension when the clandestines leave. I don't think they're dead. I think that's how they transported into that other dimension.
Maybe. I think they died. I think their body disintegrated.
Do you think it was like a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing when they opened the Ark, and
that's
that was
what
it?
I think. I think I think it's done. But you could be right. They could have been some sort of spiritual kind of
transition.
Yeah, transition maybe.
Yeah, to go to the other realm, because for all we know, they could have been given this physical form when they came to Earth. And
maybe it's a theory.
That was their way. That's just a theory I have, but I could be wrong. But then again, we don't know with Disney Marvel and how they manipulate everything. And this show is very different from the comic and how everything was formulated, especially with Ms. Marvel's powers. But I'm accepting and understanding and loving the idea of what we got. Now, mind you, if you wanted to go see what Ms. Marvel really looks like, you could actually go to Madame Tussauds in New York City, and this is in Times Square. And they actually do have a Marvel exhibit, and you could see Ms. Marvel with the elasticy kind of look, like she does in the comic, but there's the bangle. You'll have all the same tropes that we have within the show that we're seeing with her costume. So it's this very same costume if you look at it. But to me, honestly, I think the way they actually created the character and how they're giving us this particular character of Kamala Khan as Ms. Marvel, I think it's really good. Yeah, it talks to a lot of the youth. It talks a lot about culture and opens a lot of people's eyes about the world that's going around about us with people who are different. So I really enjoy this in the sense that the powers don't exactly have to be comic book accurate, you know?
No, and we've said that before about the MCU characters and just that understanding, especially these kind of outlier characters that we don't know a lot about, or the comic book isn't like super popular necessarily, but that they can do whatever they want with these characters within the MCU. And so we'll see what happens with her. Just like with Moon Knight, they kind of changed him up a little bit.
Oh yeah, and I thought that was amazing. I loved how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm looking forward to seeing what we get from Ms. Marvel in the next Captain Marvel movie, because we know we get 3 Captain-style Marvels with Brie Larson, this girl who plays Kamala Khan, and we got Monica Rambeau as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, or maybe we even get somebody who's from an alternate dimension. Who is Monica's mother? I forget.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but she was the one that was killed in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, but there's always other multiverses.
I'm not disagreeing with you. No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that's the character that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
that would be cool.
It would be interesting. I think I could see like maybe the second season of What If might explore some of these other multiverses again, but I don't see the live action Marvel universe kind of delving too deeply into the multiverse. I think they gave us a lot of it with Doctor Strange, and I think they're going to kind of back off on it a little bit.
Yeah, I'd agree. To me, honestly, there is some sort of a peek at it because they're doing promotion for Disney World with I'm forgetting the name of the Marvel thing that's down there. But they actually do have Kamala Khan in there too. So check that out. It's on YouTube. So a lot of people, you got to check it out. There's a scene where they bring a lot of, like with Kamala and like, what's his name? The new Captain America, Hawk, Falcon.
Falcon, right. Well, he's Captain America. I mean, he's
Captain America Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
And they have something there that's promotion, but they're all in this whole thing, and it's part of the ride that's going on down there.
Oh,
so it's in consecutive of what they're doing with the movies. So if you guys are out there and you go to the Disney parks and they do actually have that ride and you encounter it, let us know what's going on too, because I only saw snippets and I thought, wow, this is amazing. I want to see more.
Yeah,
but we get Kamala in there too. So
okay, very cool.
So, but I'm looking forward to what they do with this. Overall with the episode, just like you stated, Bruno connecting with Cameron, that was funny and fun to watch, and a little bit heart wrenching too, because both of them are basically orphans at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And they're living on their own. They have to deal with damage control, and literally that's how it ends off with both of them. Then we also see the difference in colors, because Cameron's is more purplish.
Mm-hmm.
Very much almost like, what's her name from WandaVision? Not Wanda herself, but
Agatha
Harkness. He has the same kind of color and glow with his powers and his eyes. So
you keep trying to draw that purple. You keep trying to draw that purple connection, and we'll see.
Oh, we got to see it. They kept bringing it up through Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and stuff too. So something's got to be linked.
Okay.
With some of these people, something's got to be linked. Okay. And knowing Kevin Feige and all his greatness has to be bringing something into that regarding that. Eventually, we'll be leading into other things and. I know I was ridiculed by our one and only Ben Beck about talking about Secret Wars, but apparently that's something that is happening. So I'm looking forward to something with that aspect. So I think everything is going into the multiverse, as well as not just timelines, but multiverse itself and multiple different characters. So I'm curious as to what we get within the next 2 to 3 films that we get. Obviously, we're going to get Ant-Man and the Wasp and the Quantumverse or Quantumania. Yeah, Quantumania. Yeah. And then we're going to have She-Hulk. So obviously, we're going to be exposed to more stuff within Disney Plus with some former Netflix characters that we've encountered before, probably a little bit watered down, different in looking, which would be more of Daredevil. We're definitely getting Abomination, Frogman, which is new. I know Titania, or I think that's her name, from Secret Wars, the original comic run from the early 80s, 1984. So I'm thinking they're kind of melding this all together to give us an end, kind of like an Endgame kind of movie with all these shows and everything. And that's why they're building up all these character bases. Because what do we have left after Endgame? We don't really have... We lost a lot of great characters. You know, we don't have Captain America. We don't have Iron Man. We don't have Black Widow. Who else is missing? I'm forgetting. But, you know, we don't have the original Avengers, but we're building up a new repertoire of heroes and characters.
Yeah.
For an Endgame kind of movie, which probably will culminate with an End 2 another 5 years, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot coming down. We got, like you said, Love and Thunder's out now. And, and then we got She-Hulk coming up and Ant-Man. And it's going to be a great year. And there's going to be a lot of content. And we'll just have to see where they take it. We've got season 2 of Loki is supposed to be coming out at some point. Yeah. Season 2 of What If is supposed to be coming out at some point.
Yeah, we got teased for that. Yeah, that's something new that's coming out. I think with San Diego Comic-Con coming up, we're going to get more information too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, your listeners, just keep your eyes out on that. They put that on Facebook. So just, not Facebook, but YouTube. Mm-hmm. YouTube actually has the, videos that are out there when they do it live. You might not get it that very day at times unless you subscribe, but you could actually see it by like the next day and then see all the panels and everything that, they have to offer. And you could see where Feige is going with this. I'm curious because the man is working so many levels because he's dealing with Spider-Man as well. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious when we're getting Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't, they've got a lot of stuff they announced that's coming and they only had dates on very few things and then dates get moved around and we're just going to have to see.
That is true. We kind of digressed from the actual episode, but the one cool aspect that I liked about the episode was Kamala's mother talking about tracking Kamala, and the grandmother talks about the dog, about finding the dog with the dog finder.
Yeah.
She's not a dog, and then they're like, track my phone. Oh, and they figure that out. She goes, like spyware for parents. Yeah. Why am I only just finding out about this now? So, and then that's how they were able to find them. And then obviously, they see Kamala. That was another point that I liked, that it was embracing between the grandmother, mother, and Kamala at the same time.
Yeah, and that's that moment where the mother realized that it's all true. The magic is real, and she realizes that, she said, you're this light person to Kamala, and Kamala just had to kind of go, well, yeah. And she's like, who's that boy? And then of course he runs off, but
she goes after him, and then that's when he gives her the scarf. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was really, really done well. As short as this episode is, it had a lot of punch to it.
Yeah. And a lot of setup for the final episode. So we're going to see what's going to happen further. We still got to get, Kamala reconciling with her friend, with Nakia, and all of that kind of stuff. So,
well, yeah, now that Nakia is actually aware of that, she is this superpowered being now.
Yeah.
And, I'm curious, like I said, I'm shipping both Bruno and Nakia.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, those were all my overall thoughts. This episode goes kind of quickly, and it's only 38 minutes long. Or it's actually no more. It's like more like 36 because credits take like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but that's what I said. It's the shortest one of the season so far. All the rest of them have been over 40. So
yeah, but yeah, I really did enjoy this overall. I love the history. I love key moments like we just talked about. I'm looking forward to the finale, and I'm hoping the finale is not just like, oh, here, it's 46 minutes long. No, make it a little longer. You kind of gypped us on this one, but you made it move fluidly.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to give us a big punch at the very end.
We'll see.
I'm hoping for Brie Larson at the end, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would love to see the actual Captain Marvel meet Ms.Marvel, but it would be interesting if that did happen.
Yep.
Did you have any notes?
That's all. That's everything I've got.
Same here. I don't have any quotes. I think we kind of passed through everything.
Yep. We used all my quotes up that I had as well. So.
All right. Cool. So we didn't get any feedback whatsoever. Facebook, audio, email, or Facebook. So comic book news. Obviously, Thor: Love and Thunder. It's out. Let us know your thoughts. Just let us know, because we'll be covering that soon at some point. So, podcast recommendations.
Yeah. I'll go back to one that I've said before. I just listened to an older, Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You, or Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum is always a good podcast. I'll just kind of pull that one up, and I've subscribed to it, and I download all the episodes, but I just kind of pick and choose which ones I want to listen to, which interview I want to see. He did another interview with Jared Padalecki that's about Walker, because Walker's.
Oh yeah, he was talking about Walker, Texas Ranger. I listened to that one. Yeah,
it's just Walker.
Okay, whatever.
But yeah, he was talking about Walker, and there's a prequel coming out, a Walker prequel coming out, I guess, that and he talked about being executive producer and how that changes kind of the way he is regarded on the show and what he does. And so it's an interesting interview if you guys want to check that out. Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum.
Awesome. And to give a few shout outs to our friends in podcasting, Strange Indeed, with their continual coverage with Stranger Things season 4. And they're coming to the finale episode soon. And I think they're to the last 2 episodes. So I've been following them, listening to Rima and Paik. I thought the last one was amazing. I'm going to be sending in audio feedback because I have a lot to say about that.
Nice.
A lot of it had to do with metal and music and stuff like that. But that way I'll concentrate on that. Everybody else could talk about the show. But I did enjoy the episodes. The last 2 episodes we got from Stranger Things was amazing. And I'm sure that Rima and Paik are going to do really great with their coverage on that, because I've been enjoying their take on everything since it's been coming out. They've been very patient watching it episode by episode, which is like, wow, they have like true strength and not jumping ahead. Also with Wilhelm, Ben's been doing a lot when it comes to interviews. So just keep up with listening to Wilhelm on the Next Level online radio network. So Wilhelm's coming out with more and more stuff with his interviews, as well as top 5, his top 5 subjects that come out with friends. Who else? We got
TV Podcast Industries. Doing all their things with an Umbrella Academy.
Actually, they haven't even started yet. I checked.
Oh, they haven't? Okay, Ms.Marvel. Then I know they're doing Ms.Marvel and the Boys, though. So
yeah, I listened to Derek, and Derek actually shouted you out on the last episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for when they were doing The Boys, and he had stated he wanted to hear our coverage yet, which will be out. And we will be talking about, and they will be covering probably around the same time as us, the Umbrella Academy, as well as Strange Indeed, because they're going to be covering it as well. So you have 3 podcasts you could listen to of every different take that you want. Just choose your path. It's like choose your path book back in the day. But we do highly recommend them as well. House Podcast, they finished up Obi-Wan, and I really enjoyed that coverage too. I loved Obi-Wan when it came out. I don't know if they're doing Westworld, but I started watching Westworld last week. So I don't know if you guys are interested in that kind of thing, but they might cover it. they might not, but Jason has older coverage from the previous 3 seasons on House Podcastica, so you can check that out.
Yep.
And, YouTube recommendations. Obviously, I always recommend the Grim Life Collective. Jessica and Michael are actually on a cross-country tour and doing their coverage of specific sites and grave sites and even movie filming area and locations. So check them out on the Grim Life Collective. Most recently, they did, I believe, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So they're in Texas, so not too far from Paik, but they did the graveyard scene from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was pretty cool. Not many people get that right, but they did, and this time they filmed it properly, and Michael got good angles. For those of you that are interested in more on Ms.Marvel, go to Comics Explained on YouTube with Rob, and he'll explain everything to you about Ms.Marvel. And that's about it.
All right. Well, you're listening to us on your podcast player of choice, whether that's Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you use. We appreciate that and appreciate the subscriptions, and ask that if you can give us a review, that would be great. We'll give you a shout out here on the podcast if you do.
Well, you can check out our website, panelspixelspodcast.com, and that will be up 100% by the end of July.
Nice. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/panels2pixels.
We are on Twitter at panels2pixels, and that's panels and the number 2 pixels.
We have an email address, which is panels2pixels1@gmail.com. That's panels2pixels1. The TO is spelled out right in the middle, and the number 1@gmail.com.
You can find us on YouTube. All you have to do is search on YouTube for Panels to Pixels Podcast. Don't just put in Panels to Pixels, because you'll find Josh. We're Panels to Pixels Podcast. And if you're there and you like what we're doing, a lot of people apparently have been watching us. All it is the podcast right now, and the audio with the our graphics on it and played back. So if you choose to actually listen to it that way, you can. Just subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Like I stated before, once we get more interviews from celebrities from certain shows, we will put them up, and it will be actual videos. So that way you will be more aware, and you get to see us as well as the celebrity when we interview them.
Nice. We are on the Instagram, which is at Panels2Pixels Podcast. That's Panels2Pixels Podcast, all spelled out in letters.
And like always, check out all the other podcasts on the Next Level Podcast Network. We highly recommend them all, especially Wilhelm with Ben Beck, The Melting Pat, Podcast Zero, and so much more. All you have to do is go to nextlevelradioonline.com and check them out all there. There you can find all the links to them and follow them in all their podcast player of choices.
Excellent. Coming up, you will hear us do the finale of The Boys Season 3. Mark and I have both already watched it, but we haven't done our podcast on it yet, and it is amazing. I can't wait to hear it. And of course, we'll have the finale of Ms.Marvel coming up next week as well.
Exactly. So where else can listeners hear us?
Well, I send voicemails to various podcasts that our friends do, as you just mentioned, with TV Podcast Industries and others, and Strange Indeed. Particularly, I also send my thoughts to what WTF is from. That's on the Podcastica Network. You hear my voice there. And they're wrapping up their coverage of Season 1 of From.
Awesome. And you can all hear me on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, and that can be found on the Pyrocore Entertainment Network. Therein, we cover action, adventure, fantasy, thriller, suspense films, basically anything to get your adrenaline going. Soon to be out, which probably be out at the same time as this, will be Contact with Lizzie and I. I'm still editing. It takes a while because it was 2.5 hours. But after that will be Angry Red Planet, Escape from Planet of the Apes, and then after that will be Predator with Steve and I, as we cover 1986's Predator. So that way we can move right in and go into the movie Prey that's going to be on Hulu. So check that out when they're available. All you have to do is look for Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. All right. Well, everybody, same podcast, different panel, different pixel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Panels to Pixels, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good night.
Good night.